Here's what the Audi A5 looks like backing up my weird steep corner of a driveway. Ooh. All right, this is Bill with Driven to Distraction, and today we're driving with my friend Enzo. And I wrote a story about his shopping experience on Everyday Driver a few months ago. He's coming from a WRX, the hatchback version, and now he's in an Audi A4. And we're just talking a little bit about the experience of going from something that is a little bit more sporty performance oriented to something that still has sporty performance, but it's more luxury oriented. And Enzo, you know, is a great driver, interested in cars and stuff. So he's just going to give us a little bit of a perspective of kind of changing, I guess, the mindset of what it's like to drive those two different cars. So we were actually just talking about how, you know, you're starting to get used to a smoother ride and good power delivery and stuff, and, you know, a nice automatic versus a manual transmission that was a little janky and stuff like that.
Yeah, we were just talking about my my fiance's car. She drives a Mazda 3, and we had driven it, you know, about an hour away, and I haven't driven her car in a while, so I was in her car, we were changing her brakes, and I noticed that the car just wasn't driving, didn't seem like it was driving too great, and I mentioned it to her, and when we drove back, she got in the driver's seat and said that the car was driving just fine. I know what you're talking about. So it definitely goes to show it. Once you get into a car that's a smoother ride like this in the luxury class, you get kind of spoiled. But it is an A5. It's an A5, not an A4.
That's what I meant to say. Sorry.
So it's the A5 Sportback, but it's funny that you confuse them, because people do confuse them quite a bit, because the A4 is the
sedan, right?
It's the two-door version.
Oh, the two-door. My mistake. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. No, I'm wrong. The A6 is the two-door version, I think.
We'll look it up.
Yeah, look it up. Call in if you know the answer.
There you go. It's not a radio show, though. They have to type in the comments.
Email us.
We'll figure it out, yeah. Yeah, talking about how smooth this ride is, we're going quite a bit faster than I thought we were.
Oh, yeah. Jeez.
We're talking and going with the flow of traffic, and the car hides its speed really well.
Yeah, it does. That's one thing I noticed with this car, too, is that you really don't notice when you're hitting 85, 90. It's really quick. In the WRX,
not that we were going that fast.
No, we were going smooth 65.
Yeah, exactly. You just
but
didn't
if
realize
we were going to, it would be.
Yeah, exactly.
You can imagine.
You can imagine it.
I know a guy.
You know a guy who's driven that fast. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting, kind of changing that mindset. Like, we've done a story and a review on a Audi RS3, which is, you know, kind of take a Golf R and add an extra cylinder and take away the hatch, and you know, the Golf rides really nicely too. But just switching to the Audi, and the tuning's a little different, the suspension's a little different, and I noticed driving that, it's a smaller car, you feel the speed a little bit more, but kind of like this, you know, it's kind of made to cruise on the Autobahn. You don't realize, you know, how fast you're going.
Yeah.
So I'm distracted. It's a really cool orange first-gen Raptor over there.
I see it.
Yeah, with the splatter paint graphic thing. And that's probably not as smooth of a ride, but probably still super fun.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, so what do you like about the car so far? This is kind of like your first German car experience. Like, what are some of the pros and cons so far?
Yeah, so there's a lot I like about the car. So the interior, the first thing that I liked about it is just the interior of it. When you get in it, you just feel like it's just like a cut above. It feels like you're in something that's like really expensive, and to be honest, it wasn't all that expensive. We kind of talked about before this how you could get into one of these for a pretty reasonable price if you just wait a couple years, because they don't hold their value as well as some other cars. But the smooth ride, I mean, the leather's really nice. It does have the practicality of the hatchback. That's kind of one of the reasons I got it. I haven't used it all too much. I haven't like really tried to fit a whole bunch of luggages back there, anything yet. But I know that it has a capacity for it, so it's nice peace of mind to know that you can fit things back there.
Yeah, I really like the Sport Pack. Now that we've sorted out our models a little bit.
yeah, the Sport Pack's nice. They call it the and they call it the baby A7 because it looks a lot like the A7.
Right.
And I've actually gotten mistaken for an A7 at I was at the gas station a few weeks ago, and I had a guy go, "Hey, that's a great car, really nice car," and he thought it was an A7 the whole time. Because from the front end and the back end, they look very similar, and the 4 doors makes it look like an A7. So
yeah, Audi does that pretty well. Pretty consistent design across all their models.
Yeah.
So
and that's the other thing too. I know, you kind of helped me through the shopping experience, and you're definitely giving me some tips. And one of the cars that we were also talking about was a Stinger, which is kind of in this. It's in this same class. But man, there's something about just driving a car with the 4 rings in front of it.
Yeah.
There's just something about it. I mean, maybe that's just like an ego thing, but it's definitely a nice touch.
I've driven a couple Stingers and at this point a few Audis, and I'm going to do some of my driving impressions a little later in the video. They've changed the roads around here. I don't know where we are anymore. We're driving a route that we used to drive together like all the time, and they've recently, since COVID, we haven't gone this way in more than a year. And now they're changing the exits. It's a little different.
Oh, whoa. Yeah, I haven't seen this in a while.
Yeah, they've labeled the road differently. This is weird.
One thing that so here's a little gripe. I'm just, not that there's a lot of gripes I have about the car, but I'm just trying to think of a few. One of the things is there's not a whole lot of, it's kind of hard to see out the back.
Okay.
The slope
glass,
definitely gives the car like a sexier, sleeker look, but it doesn't help in your like rear view vision.
Gotcha.
But it does make up for it when you're changing lanes. It's got these little lights on the
blind spot monitoring.
The blind spot monitoring, yeah. So it does blink if there's a car coming or if there's one like right in your blind spot, and it's actually pretty accurate too. It'll light up in spots where and otherwise I probably would have just done a quick little zip.
Definitely helps you.
So it is pretty useful, but so that's one small gripe that I can think of.
That's a fair gripe.
So go on. Don't mean to interrupt. We're talking about the Stinger.
No, we're on the same team here. It's just fine. So being in the Stinger, and I'll be driving this in a little bit. I can tell just from being a passenger that the build quality is nicer than the Audi. So you're mentioning the badge or some of the prestige. Like you pay a little bit more for something like this. Not that the Stinger is built poorly, but the materials aren't quite as nice and things aren't screwed together quite as tight. Like the Stinger kind of is notorious for having some rattles and some paint quality issues and stuff like that. I've never heard much about reliability problems. Like it runs great. It's got that 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty like a lot of Hondas and Kias do. So it's a great vehicle, and it's I would say the GT, GT1, GT2, is probably faster than this, but it's not quite as nice. And then when you spend more, you get into an S5 or RS5. Those are going to outperform the Stinger as well and be nicer, but you're spending more money. So it's kind of a value proposition.
Yep.
Do you get a used S5 or do you get a new Kia Stinger GT2? That's kind of where you kind of cross shop. And then if you get CPO A5 like this, then you kind of got, I think you got the 4-cylinder Kia Stinger beat because it performs just as well. And it's nicer. A few of the pros and cons about the Audi, we appreciate you sharing that. So would you say it was a worthwhile change over the WRX?
Oh yeah, I mean without a doubt. I mean it's just a much. You kind of get the best of both worlds. Like the WRX was definitely a fun car. I also bought the WRX when I was 22 or 23, and it was 5-speed, which is really fun to drive. If I could find this in a 5-speed, that'd be great. I think I'd probably enjoy that just as much. But this is definitely just like kind of the more grown-up version of a car, but it's still very fun. Oh, so I want to mention too the other things I like about it. So it's got 4 modes. It's got comfort mode, sport mode, individual mode, and then like a custom mode. Yeah. So those are really cool, and they're not as complicated as you'd think. You can kind of just like tailor them any way you want. It's just, if you put it in sport mode, it's going to be a lot peppier. The engine actually gets a little bit louder. The suspension stiffens up a little bit. And it's just like you feel like you're driving a sports car. When it's in comfort mode, you really feel like you're driving just a regular sedan. It's kind of underwhelming. But it's good on gas that way.
Right.
So I just like the idea where you can kind of just play both. You know, like the experiences between the sport mode and the comfort mode are considerable. You'll see when you drive it. It's definitely different. So I tend to just drive it in comfort mode during the, you know, if I'm in the city, and then as soon as I get on the highway, I just click into the sport mode. And the nice thing is you can actually do drive select here, and you can change it while you're driving if you like. But the nice part is, so that's how you would change all the features of it. You can go to comfort, sport mode, individual. But really, all you really want is you want to either sport mode or comfort mode. That's really it. The other ones are just, there's not too much to it. So if you want to do that, all you have to do is like click the little shifter back.
Yeah.
So you click the shifter knob back, and you're in sport mode. I click it again, and then you're in comfort mode. So it kind of understands that the driver wants to either be in one of those two modes. So.
Gotcha.
Oh, you know what was actually a big selling point? This sounds kind of kitschy, but I bought it in January, so it was very cold out, and I had test drove a few cars. This was the only car at the time that had the heated steering wheel, which was a really nice touch, especially when you're out shopping and, like, you know, the cold weather. You get in the car, and it just gives it that extra just like boost of, wow, this is really nice, and I like the feeling of the steering wheel. It definitely is a great selling point, and I used it all throughout the winter. It's great.
Right. So, you know, some stuff that, you know, you don't realize how good it is until you have it.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
I don't want that. I don't want to go back with this.
Yeah. The other, I'll mention another gripe. Audi, if you're watching, try to fix this if you can. The center console here, this little thing is like kind of weird to open. I can't find a really comfortable way to open this thing. I guess in the WRX it was more at like my arm's length, so I can kind of just like do it without disrupting the passenger, and not like this is just a weird way to open this up. And then it does this thing where I don't know what the reason for this is, but you could adjust it if you open it up just a little bit and then put it back down. It just stays there. So I don't know what that would. I don't get what that means.
Oh, that's solid. Yeah. I mean,
so it stays for, I don't know, maybe if you're really tall, or I'm not sure. I'm 5'7", 5'8", so I'm not going to have it any higher than normal. But I don't really know the reason of that. But so this could be improved upon, I'd say.
Okay.
But other than that, everything else is.
I'm sure they're getting right on that for us. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they're watching.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Cool. All right. Well, we're gonna continue on our journey and switch drivers at some point, and then I'll talk a little bit of my impressions, and we'll wrap things up. Hey, so we made it to our destination, and here's what the back looks like when it's full of karate gear.
Yep.
Plenty of space. You can knock the seats down and have even more room. Back seat space is healthy. There we go. Yeah, so if we took the cargo cover off, and that's a lot of room. That's really good.
You can also take this thing off, I believe.
Right. Hey, we don't have to do that right now. It's cool, but you get a view of it. That's a lot of space. You'd have no problem making a Home Depot run or something with that.
Yeah.
Cool. And then me sitting behind myself as a passenger. There's actually a lot more room than you'd think. This is actually really comfortable. And the back seat's nice too. It's just as nice as the front. And you got heated seats back here. Really nice. Oh, it's separate climate control.
Yeah, climate control. So there's 3 zones. So up there you can toggle it. It's going to be zone 1, zone 2.
Right.
Zone 1, zone 2, zone 3.
Perfect.
I wanted to show Bill a pretty cool feature. So if you come out on a really hot day, it's probably about like 75 degrees right now, but when we come back out, it'll probably be pretty hot in this car. So before we go in, if you just hold the unlock,
oh, nice.
opens everything up. Gives you a little bit of a breather.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's smart. Good job, Audi. Cool. Hey, so I'm driving now the Audi A5, and Enzo was just walking me through some of the main features. automatic wipers and the drive mode functions and how the MMI system works a little bit. And this is all the type of stuff you can get from watching a lot of different videos, so I won't necessarily go over it here. But I'll just talk a little bit about driving impressions, maybe comparing it to a few different vehicles that might compete with it, maybe not always in terms of the exact same vehicle class, but just something you might consider if you're interested in a sporty, comfortable daily driver. So right now we're driving in comfort mode, and we're cruising along here on the highway, and it's as advertised. It's very comfortable. The RPMs are cruising about 1500. We're starting to go uphill, and the shifts are really smooth, pretty much imperceptible. The engine's quiet. The wind noise is basically non-existent. We're kind of upshift, or we're kind of downshifting to get up this hill a little bit. You can see the revs kind of jump up to match the needs of the drivetrain, and I'm looking at it. That's how I can tell. Like, you don't feel it. It's quiet and it's comfortable. So if you just want to cruise along in traffic, or when you're minding your own business, then this is definitely a good place to do it. A good way to do it. We were driving in sport mode, both manual and not manual, a little while ago, and the turbo was staying spooled up. We're about 500 RPM higher, and it just wanted to do whatever we wanted to do. And that's probably been your experience driving every day too, right?
Yeah. The sport mode is definitely just I like to use on the highways for sure. The comfort mode just is more practical when you're driving through the city. But Bill was having some fun with it on the way before we started recording, and we're in sort of like moderate traffic now, so we can't really open it up. But you got a good feel for it.
There's a police officer behind us, so stay in the right lane and not use sport mode. But yeah, that's one of the. Oh, he's going under an overpass. There's something interesting about that. The fact that we keep talking about it, like it just the car hides the speed so well, so you could be going above the speed limit and have no idea. There's other vehicles like my Colorado ZR2. If I'm driving above the speed limit, first of all, it takes a little effort to keep a bigger vehicle going at that pace. You have to kind of manipulate some of the programming to get the transmission to kind of keep it in the power band. That's what I've done, and I've talked about some other videos. But you have to experience the speed a little bit more, because it's a big truck, kind of a brick-shaped object being thrown into the wind. So you definitely feel it a little differently. Whereas this, we're low to the ground. We got some aero by comparison. We're a lot slipperier, and you could be going really fast and not know it. And this is the base model, Audi A5, but it's not hurting for power or comfort or style. It has everything you really want, and I'd say Enzo made a good decision getting a couple years old model. It feels like a new vehicle to me.
Yeah.
It still smells like a new car.
Thanks.
It's obviously well taken care of.
Yeah, CPO.
Yeah, you can't beat it. So we're gonna try to get out in front of a car right now, and just shifted lanes, did that, and the transmission took a minute to get there, but we're not in sport mode. If we were in sport mode, we would have just been there pretty much instantaneously. I would say we talked a little bit about comparing it to the Stinger, and this is a nicer, slightly slower version of the Stinger. But if you get into the S5 or whatever, move up to RS5, what have you, I would say, as many people have already said, that Audi's got the Stinger beat hands down in terms of comfort, style, build quality, power, stuff like that. Obviously not on warranty or price when you start getting into new models and stuff like that. But yeah, I'd say if you've been driving a WRX or a younger person's vehicle, as we were kind of joking around about, this is definitely a step. And you still have the all-wheel drive type system, so it's got that performance and practicality mix, but it's in a nicer package. Would you say something like that?
Yeah, for sure. We didn't mention that before. The all-wheel drive was definitely a factor in me buying it. I mean, we live in the Northeast, so you're kind of dead in the water if you don't have all-wheel drive, at least with one of your vehicles. But as far as putting the sport mode too, I don't know. I've never driven the Stinger, so I can't attest to how that drives. But I did drive one of the other cars I drove that was in a similar class was the Mercedes C-Class, and I'll say that it had similar speed, but this one definitely has more. I guess you'd call it more like top end speed as opposed to just right off the line speed.
Acceleration.
This one has pretty good acceleration. The Mercedes had a decent acceleration, but this one you could definitely feel it once you get into like the 65 mile per hour, 75 mile per hour range. It definitely still has some bandwidth to spend. So.
And I was just feeling that too. We were going pretty good speed, and I felt like if I actually put my foot down, we'd keep going even faster. So.
Oh yeah, it was growling.
Yeah, it's nice. So well done, sir.
Thanks.
Picked a good car. Thanks
Awesome.
for sharing it with us today.
Of course.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, yada yada. I know I'm supposed to say that. I usually don't.
Yeah.
Take care. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.
What? Why is there a hammer in there?